Hey everybody, it's Robert from Mentorship Military, and we're sitting here at Pearl and Pine Brewery, and we appreciate these guys inviting us here to be able to do the podcast. And I'm joined by
Kyle,
and we're sitting here with our guest Lou, and Lou comes up from 6 RTB, having just joined or witnessed a graduation from Ranger School.
that is right. That is correct. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
What will attract the Mentors for Military page in a lot of cases, you know, on social media to follow is because in your case, it was a lot of mentoring or coaching and or putting out good information and all that kind of stuff. That it was like, all right, that's when I said, let's not only just follow, let's reach out. It's time, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what did it.
He did it at a great time too, because I actually PCS 20 March. Like I'm out.
That's great
I'm
timing.
This is one of my buddies who's graduating Ranger School, and I was like, all right, this is it. Like, and then you guys are like reached out, and I was like, all right, stars align. Yeah, I'll make the effort. Let's do it.
Well, I thought it was more so because of the program that you have that somebody from your program is graduating.
So he was the beginning of it
Okay.
all, really. So I left Ranger Battalion in 2017, and I went to the old guard. And it was kind of like, at the time I was married, and my wife at the time was, I've since remarried. But she was like, I don't want you jumping out of airplanes, no more deployments. And I was like, okay, well, there's not very many places you can go to do that anymore. And so I went to the old guard because I heard things about it, and I was like, yeah, let's go give it a try. It ended up being the greatest unit outside of being in Ranger Regiment that I've been at. And I was like, this place is great. And I met that guy. He ended up being my first team leader. Just got back from RASP, and they dismissed him from RASP because he didn't have a Ranger tab, and he was an E5. And I was just like, all right, man, this is what you got to do now. So he kind of became the beginning. So I basically took him under my wing, and he was very motivated himself. Like, he was on it. And a little bit discouraged. And I was like, nah, man, you just got to keep up with it. Go get that Ranger tab. Go do this. He kind of went the other way. He PCS'd before we could actually progress. He went to a 173rd, did some 173rd, went to SFAS, passed SFAS, and then now he just finally went to Ranger School. And
Wow.
It was like a great time. But I tried to push him. I always told him, I was like, hey, man, you're better than what this is. Like, don't settle for the basic, you know, airborne life. Like, you are meant for something more. Like, you could do more. Your tolerance, your mentality, everything's higher. You can go do more, go push yourself, be more. And that's what he did. And that's all it took. It was just like a little nudge to be like, hey, go out there and do something. And he did. And he took it and ran it, and is really successful. And it's kind of funny because when I met him, he was a E5 and I was a senior E6, and now we're peers. Now we're both E7s. So it's kind of cool.
Really cool. So did you let him know you were coming in any way?
Oh yeah, no, he was down in Florida phase. So I was,
Oh, you saw him
I'm down there, and I was like, what's up, dude? Like, I called him up. I was like, Ranger Salts. And like, he's got a buddy. I was like, buddy, go away. And I bring him over, and I take him around the corner, and I make it seem like he's in trouble. And I take him around the corner. I was like, "What's up, dude? How you doing, dude? What's up?" He was one of my groomsmen at my wedding, so I just saw him. Like, I got married in October, and I saw him again. And I was like, "Yo, what's up, dude? How you feeling? How you think about the course?" He's like, "This sucks, man." I'm like, "I know, it's great, isn't it? Wait until it sucks here too. It's gonna suck." So it was good. And then I sent him back, and it was from there. I was like, "Hey, man, don't disappoint me." And he goes, I won't. Yeah. He didn't disappoint.
No recycle or anything anywhere through the face.
62 and through.
Wow.
Just like me. So I was like, that's my boy.
Yeah.
So I was like, proud dad moment. I was like, yes.
Well, when you go out there on your Black Flag Nation, you go out on their website and everything, you see all the photos, you know, and stuff of the individuals that's gone through. For you, that was your way of like paying it forward, helping other people.
So when I left Ranger Regiment, I kind of was, I was kind of sad about it. like every Ranger, you know, you're kind of a little bit sad about it. And so I kind of made it my mission. I was like, okay, well, if I can't be here anymore, then I'm going to find the best people possible in the Army, and I'm going to direct them to that position. Like, be like, hey, you're a good dude. You're sitting here at the like you're sitting here in regular Army, and you're meant for more, and you have the you know, the aspirations to do it, the physical stature, the mentality to do it. So let's take all that, let's put it on a focal point, and let's get you down the road, and let's get you to Ranger Regiment. So I want to fill the Ranger Regiment with good dudes. And the way to do that sometimes is put a little bug in there and be like, hey, you have the capabilities. And I feel like a lot of people don't get that. I feel like some of these younger guys aren't getting that. They aren't getting the positive reinforcement. Be like, hey, you can go do this. They get more of, nah, you're not meant for that. No, you couldn't do that. I couldn't do that, so you couldn't do it. And which was was a very reasonable thing for some people to say. I heard it all throughout my career. It's like, oh, just I couldn't do it, so you obviously can't do it. And I was like, yeah, okay, watch me. And that's the thing, is like, I wanted to be that guy to be like, hey, you can do this. It's going to take work. You're going to have to work your ass off for it, but you can do it. You just have to want to do it. So sometimes I'll give them a little nudge and they'll run with it, and a lot have. And when they do succeed, they come to me and they're like, hey, I see. I'm like, hell yeah. But the hard part starts now. Yeah. It's like, just because you made it, it's not easy to stay in Ranger Battalion. So you got to continuously, and that's a great thing about Ranger Regiment, is every day you show up, sorry, Major Johnson said it, every day you show up, you have to prove why you belong. And that's the great thing about Ranger Regiment, is every day you have peers, you have subordinates, and you have superiors holding you to the Ranger standard constantly every day. And as soon as you veer off or make a mistake or something, sometimes you might get a chance to come back, but sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the nature of the beast, which is, I like it because it just kind of holds you to your true. And what you do with that is what you do with that. You're either going to excel, or you're going to find out really quick why, you know, a lot of people aren't Rangers anymore. So, yeah.
Why do you think that somebody, you know, hear a podcast like this and they want to go option 40 from the streets? Why do you think that option 40, I have my own opinion and some opinion of others and stuff, that people struggle from, that's what I want to do, option 40, to actually making it happen?
It's hard. It's a lot of people aren't used to being pushed. Like, I played sports. I ran cross country, I played football, and I played basketball. So I was used to pushing myself. I wasn't good at cross country. I was not good at cross country, but it was, you know, my dad would always tell me, he'd be like, hey, you're going to feel your mind going, hey, please stop, please stop, please stop. But you're going to have to just keep going, because your body's going to be able to go more than what your brain's going to let you. And I kind of proved it to myself as time went on, you know, running miles, 12, 13 miles in the middle of Indiana, cornfields on both sides. There's nothing to look at except the pavement in front of you, and that's it. And you want to talk about mental toughness, and that's the stuff. And some kids don't get that. Some people don't get that. And not until later on in their life that, you know, the mental toughness is a real thing. And a lot of people aren't used to being pushed to that point and being discomfort. And it's like, okay. And if that's their first time, the first thing that they're going to do is quit. Because I'll tell you, I'll be honest, first time I ran 5 miles in cross country, yeah, I walked a couple of times. But as time went on and I started working on the mental focus and everything else, I got better and better and better, so that by the time I got to that point, I was like, this isn't really much. It was a lot, because I went through RIP. It was totally different than what I thought, but I had the mental capability of going, I could go further, faster, and harder than anybody else here. And I refused to quit. And it was just how it is. I think if you're not used to pushing yourself to that point and training to that point, you're not going to be successful. That's why one of my guys, another one of my best friends was in the old guard, brand new kid. Like, I walked into the office as a squad leader, and I've been there for a while, so he just got there. And the platoon sergeant's like, yeah, that kid wants to go to Ranger Regiment. I was like, oh, really? Go out there and talk to him like, hey, what's your prep like? What's this? All right, you're going to come to my squad, and I'm going to prep you. And I prepped him hard. I prepped him as if he was going to rip. We ate, slept, and walked Ranger. It was like every day. It was like every day it was going to be something hard. You're carrying heavy stuff. You're pushing yourself. And it was 3 times a day. We'd work out first thing in the morning. He'd go to the gym with me in the afternoon. And then at night we'd go to the gym again. And I'd just push him until one day he went to RASP. He came back and he goes, RASP was easy. And I was like, that's what we want. We want it to be easy. I want your prep program to be so bad and so miserable that when you actually go for game time, it's easy. But it takes you to step into that world and actually push yourself beyond that. And that's why a lot of people don't do it.
That have to have the physical stamina, but there's also this mental aspect of it as well.
Yeah, mental. I always told everybody, I was like, I would take a mentally strong person over a physically strong person any day.
Yeah, you might want to say that again, because there are people out there that think that it's all about being a Ranger, is all about what you lift and all of that.
I will take a mentally. I'll be honest. When I got to Ranger Regiment, I wasn't the strongest. I wasn't the best. I wasn't this. I would struggle with PT for the first 2 years that I was there, and it was also because I wasn't really focused on what was the grade, like what was important. And I had a team leader. One day. He looked like I'm struggling up a hill. We're in Afghanistan. And he goes, what are you going to do when we're under fire and everything's going to shit right now? What are you going to do? And I was like, I'll just do it. I will be able to do it. It's just, I don't know how to explain it, but I will be able to do it. And I did. In the past, as time went on, certain situations would come up, and I did it. I was like, I picked up and I moved with a purpose, and that's what it was. And I've had physically strong dudes come into my squad and then quit within, a week, because they're just like, I can't do this. I was like, why? Because you're being pushed beyond what's your strength. You can't just naturally strength your way through this, and you're fatigued and everything. And just because you're fatigued, that's the one thing that you had to lean on. Yeah, no, I don't want you. I want the mentally tough person that comes in and is like, you know what? You can't break me today. There's nothing that you're going to do. I will go into a muscle failure. I might not be able to push a single push-up, but the words I quit will never come out of my mouth. I'll take that, because I can make that guy strong. I can make him smart, and I can make him strong all day long. The first thing that everybody always asks was like, what's his run time? What's this? And I was like, I don't care about your PT score. As a leader, I don't care about your PT score, because that's the first thing I can change about you. I want to know who you are, where you come from, what's your aspects or what's your aspirations, what you want to do in this life, and then how can I get you to the next spot? If it's college, if you're here for a 4-term and you just want free college, all right, what are you doing in this 4 years to get ready for college then? Are you just sitting here? You have TA. I want you to go across the street, and I want you to go to college then, right now. Because at the end of the 4 years, you're going to have your degree, and you're going to be like, well, I thought after 4 years I was just going to go to college. It's like, no, now you got 4 years. What are you going to do? Did you enjoy the Army? Yeah, I kind of did. Stay in the Army. Go officer. Go be an officer. Go do something else. Go to Ranger Regiment. Go do this. Go do that. So that's the goal. Like, I'll take mentally strong all day. I don't care about your physical stature. You can come in skinny. Actually, I prefer the skinny guys, because I'm like, yeah, we're going to make you big.
It's funny too, because that's another aspect. I was just getting ready. I was waiting for that. I was like, what about those kids that are listening in that are 125, 135 pounds, soaking wet, and they're going, I'm not a physical specimen. I don't look like those guys I see in the pictures.
I'm not a physical specimen either. I am not Sergeant Major Johnson. Sergeant Major Johnson, I love you, by the way. I am not Sergeant Major Johnson. Like, I will tell you, everything I ever done in the military has been a struggle. It's been a struggle, but I worked my ass off for it, because Mentally, I was like, this is not who I want to be, and I'm going to work at it every single second. When I want to work really hard on running, I can run a sub 12 2-mile easy. I can run a 35-minute 5-mile. I can do all this. So it comes down to, what do you want? What do you want to achieve? I came into the military 160 pounds. I'm 240 pounds. I'm a big guy. I can move my weight. I can run. I can sprint. I can do it all. But that's just because I designed it to be that way. And I can do the same thing to these kids. And that's what I want to do. I want to take that kid that's like, he's like, I want to be a Delta operator. And I was like, okay, we'll get you there then. I know exactly I don't know exactly what it takes, but I know a baseline of what it takes. And you might have to go faster and harder than everybody else. But yeah, if you got those aspirations and you don't want to quit, all day, I got you. I will help you in any aspect that it is. So
go ahead.
And it's not just the Army. Our motto is train for tomorrow's war. It's not about the Army either. It's not about the Navy. It's not about the Air Force. It's not about that. It's the everyday person. It comes down to, it's like, hey, what's your goal? Well, I want to be the best manager that I can. Okay, well, this is what it takes to be a really good manager. I've managed people. I've done this. I know what works and I know what doesn't work. I'll tell you the first thing that you need to do. You need to know your people. Go know your people. Go sit down, have a conversation. And don't make it about work. Just get to know them. And then once you get to know them, then it's a little easier to start managing them, because then you got their respect. You're respecting them, of where they come from and so on. That's the thing. If you respect somebody, they're going to respect you back. And the willingness to work for you is way higher than anything else.
I think we found the Army's solution to low numbers.
What's that?
Just give them to him and just let him do it. That's one thing we hear about all the time. Is like, no one's coming to the military. We're having, what is it, like 70, like 20, there's only like 23% of today's youth that is capable of joining the military right now.
Yeah.
And you're saying, fuck that, give me 100% of them.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And I think it's more what's getting highlighted in the military is like, the military doesn't care about you. You're part of the government, whatever. And that's not true. You got guys like me, you got guys like Sergeant Major Johnson, you got guys and in between. The thing that gets highlighted the most is the bad guys, like everything else in this world. The media is always going to highlight the bad stuff and everything and make the world seem like it's on fire. But all it really needs to do is just turn off the TV and walk outside. All right, hey, you know what? Come talk to me. I'll tell you everything great and everything bad about the military. Have I enjoyed the military? Yeah, absolutely. I've got 16 years in. I'm happy where I've ended up. I don't have any regret at all of my military service. Everything that I've ever done in my entire military service, I'm happy about, because it's grown me personally and mentally and professionally, and I've got a lot of experience to offer everybody.
You're kind of I hope you're not a dying breed, but you're kind of a rare breed in what I've seen, at least, or heard of in a lot of the military today. I'd like to say that there's more of you that are actually looking out in that aspect. But maybe that's like that foundational aspect that you got in the very beginning.
I think I'm more loud with it. I think I'm more, it's something I focus on. Like, I've had great leaders that just aren't the greatest leader. Like, they have the aspects and they have the will and the drive to do it. But I think what ends up happening is, like, other things get in the way. Like, you're always trying to get promoted. You're always trying to do this. Every single promotion I've ever done, I've never shot for. I never wanted to be a squad leader. Never wanted to be a platoon sergeant. I never wanted to be a team leader. I never thought I was going to make it to those points, to where I was going to be in those positions. And I never, like, people like, oh, he's an E7, 16 years. He must have done something wrong in his career. No, I've never done anything wrong. Never had an Article 15. Never had issues. I just kind of have gone with the flow and kind of like, hey, this is how I want to enjoy my military career. And I think I have. But along the way, it comes with a lot of, I've been the subject of bad leaders. And I've been the subject of good leaders. LeClaire, I got to watch Sergeant Major Johnson as a as a sergeant or as a platoon sergeant do his thing. Sergeant Major Donaldson as a first sergeant. I've watched all these Ranger legends that you talk about, and you take little things here and there, the things that you liked about them. And I'm not saying that I like 100% what Sergeant Major Johnson does, but there's a lot of things I do pull from. I do pull from all these guys. And over the years, I've kind of created this version of myself that what I wanted as a private. When I was a private, what would I want in a platoon sergeant? What would I want in a squad leader? I want this and this and this. And I try to emulate that. And that's what I would try to do. I try to get guys to where they want. I've had guys going, I don't really like the infantry. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do then? Oh, I kind of want to go be intel. Perfect. There's a thing called reclassification, and we can get you there. I'll talk to whoever I need to do to get you reclassed. It's not because I don't like that person. I want to get them out of the infantry. It's like, no, man, I want to get you where you want to go. And if it's somewhere that you're going to enjoy and it's going to make you stay in the Army or enjoy, your life, and you're not like just miserable, because I've been there too. That's what I want. I want it for everybody. I don't want it just for anybody in the military. I want that guy to be like, oh man, I really like my boss today. My boss is so cool. He kind of like, when I'm done with my work, I can go home and he's cool about it, or at the same time, I can come talk to him and be like, hey, I have this issue. And we sit there and we grind it out until it's solved. That's the cool part. I love doing that. I want that across the board. I want that across corporate America, Army, Navy, so on and so forth. That's what I want. I want people to stop forgetting where they came from, because you'll see that a lot. You'll see a staff sergeant forget where he came from and start treating everybody like, whatever. And it's just like, bro, you know what it's like to be a private waiting for the answer, like waiting for the word to get off. We're not doing anything. Send those guys home. Who cares? Team leaders, hang out for a little bit. Might need you for a few minutes to rattle up the guys. If a last minute thing, 20, 30 minutes goes by, all right, team leaders, get out of here. Squad leaders, let's have a talk. Let's sit there. And it's mostly, hey, kick out those guys so the squad leaders and the platoon sergeant can sit there in the office and have a beer for the last 30 minutes and be like, whew, that really escalated quickly, didn't it? And it's like, you go about your day, and then they go home, and then everybody's all happy. And guess what? You do that more. If you do that more and more and more, they come to work, and they're ready to freaking work. They want to work for you because they know if they do the day-to-day, they know they're going to go home faster if they do it faster and faster and faster. And then before you know it, you got a whole platoon that's working faster, or a company that works faster than everybody else. And that's what I want.
Too often I'm trying to be you. And so I'm looking at you and saying, oh, I have to look like him. I have to act like him in order to be that. Truth is, you don't, and you just said that.
I will be honest. I tried when I was a private to be like somebody, and it didn't work out very well, especially when those first 10 miles that he wanted to run. I was like, okay, I can't be this guy. And that was Sergeant Poppy, God rest his soul. But it wasn't just me either. It was other people. There was people directly involved with how I wanted to conduct myself, and like, it takes a village to create a person. So that's what it was. There's so many more. Like, there's Sergeant Maynard, who actually is still my mentor to this day. Like, anytime I have issues with things, I call him. I'm like, hey, I need you to help me out. And sometimes it's kind of, he's like, okay. And then his wife's like, sometimes you got to cut the umbilical cord. You got to let them go. He's like, they're my boys. There's, there's just countless guys. I even younger guys too. Sometimes I'm like, man, that's a good one. Like, that's the thing. I think a lot of people forget that you can learn from your subordinates just as much as you can learn from your superiors. Like, it's not that hard, right? You just got to pay attention. And like, I'll be honest, like, there's a lot of times like a subordinate will do something, or he'll ask for something, and it's like, man, I never thought about that. Maybe I should start thinking about that. Again, always back to the Ranger Regiment. And I love the Ranger Regiment. The Ranger Regiment gave me everything. It's given me purpose, drive, everything. And I think that's another great thing about the Ranger Regiment is you're going to have those moments, because it does they do ask you to think outside the box. They give you the opportunity to think outside the box. It's like, instead of going through the front door, why don't we just go through the windows on the side? And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. Or, that kind of thinking is like what we want. And that allows you to also free think for yourself on a lot of things. So like, I would be surprised for a Ranger just to follow the crowd. I don't see the Ranger following the crowd, and I don't see a Ranger fighting the crowd. I see a Ranger just staying in place going, is this the right move? Is this the right place that we want to be? Is this me or is this not me? I think that's what makes us different from everybody else, is we don't just jump into the situation without thinking about it. And that's what leadership's about. You can't just jump in and automatically just think you're going to be able to sling lead and go for it. And it's not how it is. Sometimes you need to take a step back and just like look at it for what it is, have a little empathy, and then add your compassion to it. And like empathy is like being able to put yourself in that person's shoes, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can put myself in those shoes. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to add a little bit of compassion, which is empathy, but with a will to solve the problem together. And that's what we want. We want compassionate leaders that can get the job done, but at the same time, be able to help that guy. So that's what I try to do with these young guys. I'm like, hey, I've been in your position. What can I do? Okay, I'm going to help you solve your problem, but it's going to all, at the end of the day, it's going to end on you and like what you do.
They're placing emphasis on the things that are most important in what you're trying to accomplish and laying the foundation for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And the guys before us just paved the way. One of the guys that's down there at 6th, I always do this. I always forget his name. Spade. Tim Spade. Old Seco guy, 1979 Ranger. Was part of the failed Irani, like a veteran of the failed hostage rescue. Great guy. And looking at that and the things that he's done to pave the way for everybody, like really everybody, because like I don't know another Ranger older than him. And just to watch that and like where it's kind of like looking at your ancestors and be like, wow, this is where it come from.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And he's just a cool guy, just chill. And I just really wanted to be like, what were you like as a corporal? I just want to know.
Yeah.
But Sergeant Major Johnson is doing a phenomenal job for what he's doing with regiment. All these guys that paved the way, you look back and you just kind of like, wow, it's kind of humbling. It's humbling.
He says the same thing. And I mean, you listen to his episode that he did it, and he talked about the very same thing. There was guys in front of him that led the way, and he dropped names and everything. And I mean, there were some serious names that he dropped along the way. Yeah. But each one of you, including yourself, and so I know this is sounding like a lot like a regiment recruiting commercial. Yeah. But there are aspects within the military, no matter where you go. If somebody said, you ought to go to 3rd ID, this is why, boom, boom, boom. Everybody's going to want to go there. Yeah. Right. And so this is very much the same way. Kind of in the other aspect, though, there's a selection that goes along with this that ensures that they're selecting the right individuals to get into there. I can't remember who it was we talked to that said that their main objective is to fill the boots of individuals that are going to become good Rangers, that are going to be here. Because if you guys who have been there before don't do that and demonstrate it, and you just talk about the good old days of, I was the last class that had to walk up, 17 miles. I was the last Ranger that had to wear whatever. Yeah. You're not painting a picture
I think that's always funny. The people that are the most destructive people are like, well, back in my day, I did this and this and this. I'm like, great, man. That's awesome. It's different.
Thank me for my service.
Yeah. Thank me for my, I was the greatest Ranger of all time. Bro, you don't even look like you could do a push-up right now. Shut up. You know what I hear a lot? I'm a millennial. So everybody's like, oh, the millennials are ruining this and that. And I'm like, you realize that Yeah, that. But do you realize that the millennials fought the longest war on volunteers alone? I can't, I'm sorry, I can't find another generation that fought a 20-year war on volunteers alone. And a lot of people are like, well, what about the Vietnam War? And I'm like, the Vietnam War had a draft. Korean War had a draft. World War II had a draft. This is the war that we didn't have a draft, that was on a large scale on multiple continents. No, one. It was one, right? Yeah, I'd say one. One. We're talking
multiple
like,
fronts, but not same conflict like World War II.
Not like World War II. Right. And World War II, that my grandfather fought in World War II, stuff like that. And I had, I know people that climb Point Du Hoc. I met them multiple times, and like I look at them, I'm like, man, I don't know how you guys do what you do, or do what you did. And then the old man, he's 82 at the time, and he looks up at me. He goes, I don't know how you guys do what you do. You're carrying all that gear up mountains. He's like, we would never have thought there would be a day like that. And I was like, yeah, but you guys also fought the Germans. He's like, yeah, but still, and it just kind of goes.
But every generation and every soldier has their story, right?
Yeah.
You got the Vietnam guys.
Yeah, the Vietnam guys.
That was hell.
I asked, I met a Vietnam Korean guy for like Korean War, Vietnam, and I asked him one day, just out of curiosity, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, out of my line, and would you rather go back to Korea and fight, or would you rather go to Vietnam? He goes, I'd rather go back to Vietnam all day.
Yeah, Korea is a silent.
Really? I didn't even think about that. I was like, really? Why? He goes, the cold alone took more casualties than everybody else. I was like, that's crazy. That is crazy to think about that. And that's the Forgotten War. I think is what, which I think ended up being the Afghan War too. It was like a forgotten war for a long time, because Iraq, everybody always talked about Iraq. And I was like, there's a whole nother country that's stuff going on. The way that regiment prepped for Iraq and prepped for Afghanistan was completely different. And I was a subject of that. It was like we were prepping for Afghanistan for 7 months. We'd go on leave, and then we'd come back, and they're like, hey, you're going to Iraq. So I ended up like changing sights on my gun. I went from the LCAN to EOTech because I was going to be doing more Battle Drill 6 than I was going to be open warfare. I was like, dude. And then it just kind of dawns on you. It's just like, this is a different war. So yeah, the people aren't doing, like, the people are like, oh yeah, back in my, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything to help. How about take that experience and all that stuff, and you provide it in an educational sense. Be like, hey, when I was in 1980, they did this and this and this and this, so watch out for this and this and this and that. And don't just be like, well, back in my day it was a lot harder, and RIP was harder, I will say, but 8 weeks of selection kind of sucks. Like, I'm kind of grateful for the 4 weeks that I only had. It was very grueling. I broke ribs. I had tendonitis in my knee, broke my right foot.
Just in RIP alone.
Just RIP alone.
Holy cow.
Running in the boots gave me tendonitis. Broke my right foot on the 12-miler out of Coal Range. Broke my right fifth rib during the 6-miler. I got kicked in the side. And dislocated 3 of my fingers. Yeah. So RIP kind of sucked. But like 2 and 8 weeks of selection kind of sucks. And to find out Sergeant Major is the founding father of that is.
Did that hurt?
Yeah, a little bit. I was like 8 weeks, but I appreciate what kind of Rangers came out of the RAS program.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't the greatest, but there was a different kind of Ranger, and it was
needed to be a different type.
It was, and what he did with that program, and finding out, like, when I was listening to podcasts, I didn't have any idea that he was the one that did all that, because there was sometimes I'd get a guy and I'd be like, dude, RAS, you guys just suck, But then I'd get that one dude who's just squared away and knows a little bit, and he's like, yeah, I learned that in RAS. But I was like, oh, they're teaching in RAS? And he's like, yeah, we shoot all the time. I'm like, perfect. This is awesome. And it just saves me time. And I think that's what it was. It's like getting a more well-rounded Ranger. And it's like, okay, so I don't have to worry about, the small things anymore. I can just start moving on to the big things, which helps me out even more. And I'm like, yeah, hey, battle drill 1, it. Let's do it. Let's execute it. Let's apply some SOPs. So like when he came out with that, and it solved the problem. And that's what I'm here. It's like, I'm not here to sit there and go, yeah, back in my day, we jumped T10, so it's way harder. It's like, shut up.
It's interesting though, because when you think about it, what he was doing was applying to the school what was required of that time period, so that when you did get a new person in battalion, that person knew how to hit the ground running. So we were talking in an earlier episode about, or another episode about, the 4 phases instead of the 3 phases of Ranger, getting your Ranger tab and everything. Ranger school, back in the day, it was hard to go through the desert. And so, I was the last hard class.
I'm a winter ranger. That's why I have white thread on my tie.
I'm a summer ranger, so.
But no doubt, but the reason why that they did all of those types of things is they've always adapted in some ways. And I'm sure the POI and everything for 6RTB has adapted over the years.
So 6RTB, I was actually part of the change of POI, and this whole Ukraine-Russia thing has changed the way that we conduct warfare in Ranger School now. Instead of doing, patrol bases, they're doing defensive tactics. Yeah. And I'm not talking about just company or platoon. They're doing battalions, a battalion level defense. Yeah. Like they're all like in their areas, but all the defensives kind of like link up with each other. And, instead of this.
We got to get that warm and fuzzy from your right and left limit, right?
Yeah.
We got C-Co here. B-Co's going to be on our right.
Exactly.
Whoever's on the right.
Yep. And everything is changing from a coin based, like where we did counterinsurgent warfare, is now LISCO. It's all large scale. So remember the island mission, that's a battalion level like planning. Like they all sit there and they talk and do all that stuff.
But you have to evolve.
That's another thing, is like train for tomorrow's war. That's what we're about. It's not being like, you can't be complacent and thinking what is going on is going to happen forever. The battlefield's fluid. The battlefield will forever change. It's always going to change. Somebody's going to find a new way to kill you, and you need to find a way to combat that. They're tying bombs to drones and they're running it into people. How do you combat that? I don't know.
No, it's a scary situation.
It's terrifying. And they're back to trench warfare. That's another thing too that we need to start looking into, is like, how do we combat a trench? How do we do this?
Think about that in trench warfare. World War I, World War II. What they had to deal with in terms of going from town to town to town, and Vietnam, dealing within the jungle and the close terrain and not understanding where you are, right, and where your left and right limits are, and you can easily get lost and all of it. So you think about all these different aspects. That's another reason why it's important to impart your knowledge.
Yes.
And for those old timers and graybeards like myself to stay around long enough to be able to share that type of information.
So don't be that guy going back in my day. Just be like, hey, this is what happened. This is how it was. And let's try to make it better, because, okay. The guys who are like, back in my day, it was way hard. It's like, okay, think about your grandson that's going to be in those ranks. Are you going to tell him, well, maybe like jokingly, I do it to some of my younger guys. I'm like, back in my day, we shot the M4s. We didn't have this XM5 or whatever we get, or I did, my first deployment, I did PVS 14s. We didn't have PVS 31s.
Did you carry an M60 as well?
I was a 320 gunner, so I was a 203. I had a 203, the little shell thing. I had the whole shell. But that's what I want. I want to be better for everybody else. I want to give them the knowledge up to the point where, eventually I'll be obsolete. I won't have the knowledge anymore, because it'll be, might as well be as a, World War II guy going to a GWAT going, hey, you know, you got to clear that M14 that you got. And it was like, we don't got 14.
But what's important in that, yeah, you will be obsolete because I'm one of those guys. But
I wouldn't say that. I think you're doing a great job for.
Oh, thank you.
At.
But you impart in a different way, right?
Yeah.
What you do is you end up finding ways to be able to share the knowledge in that what you experienced was important at its time, but it doesn't mean that history is not going to repeat itself. It absolutely does.
And it has.
You know?
Like, look where we're at with Ukraine and Russia. Like,
yeah,
that kind of warfare we haven't seen since God knows when. Like, that's
probably
new.
World War II.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
If the wall would have come down, it's what we would have seen.
Yeah,
and it's tanks in people's neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's different.
Yes.
And it's terrifying because it's not what we're used to. It's, you know, we're used to fighting other people in the mountains in sandals, as Shane Gillis would say. But yeah, no, it's a different kind of warfare, and we need to be able to evolve and change with it forever as it goes and keeps on going and going. And that's the goal. Like, the train for tomorrow's war is for you to don't be complacent in your SOPs. Find those flaws in those SOPs. Cause I mean, there was something as simple as holding the shock tube for the door when we would breach. We used to put it under the foot. You know, the shock tube would come down. We put the shock tube under the foot, push my team leader's foot or the private's foot down so he holds the shock tube, and I go around the corner and I'm like, all right, come back. And he comes back. He trips over the shock tube because it's around his ankle, and then he pulls the charge off the door, and, you know, it's over that. And then one day it was just like, why are we holding on? Why are we stepping on it when we could just feed it through somebody's hand while he's on the rifle? And then when he's about to jump, he lets go of it, and it's free from him. And it's like, hallelujah,
Brilliant.
there it is. It's brilliant. And it changed. Everything changed. And it went from, you know, multiple, and that's just a small portion of it. And that's what it is. That's what it's about. It's like, don't be complacent in your own life. If you're being complacent in your life, what are you doing? Nothing. You're doing nothing for yourself. You're just staying in this small little part, and you're just comfortable. And it's like, and for some people that might work out. Cool. If that works out for you, fine. But a lot of times, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to change. And the only way to do it and not be shocked by the change is still be complacent in the first place. Find a new way of doing something. If there is a spreadsheet that you're doing and there's a better way to do it, figure out a better way to do it, pass it off, see if it works for everybody, and then you're just like, hallelujah, you just did something. And that's what it's about. I'm not all military. I'm for everybody. I'm trying to get everybody to think about where they're at in their life, how they can be better in any aspect, physical, mental, professionally, whatever it is. I want to help you get into that mind frame of training like how we used to think in Ranger Regiment. It's like, hey, how can I make this better? And take that into the civilian world of, hey, how can I make this better? To be better. That's all it is.
It's that constant improvement of your defensive position.
Improvement. Taking the prepping for war, the seriousness that we used to take for prepping for war, and applying it to everyday aspect. Mm-hmm. How can I make my coffee better? It could be that simple. Mm-hmm. How can I make my coffee better to taste better for myself?
So, I mean, what you've done is like reinvent yourself as well. So, you know, you went into a Ranger Regiment, you go to First Bat, you go into the old guard. Now, did you ever end up guarding the tomb? Or
I was a tomb guard.
Were you really?
Nice.
I did like 6 months of tomm guard time.
Did you ever yell at anybody?
Did you get the badge?
No, I didn't get the badge.
Oh,
The time that it took. So the reason why I left Ranger, like one of the reasons why the Ranger Regiment is like because of wife. And then when I was leaving, she was like, hey, you know, I kind of want, it was more time. It was like basically get more time. And that's a lot of time that goes into the old guard or into the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It's 22 hours on, 18 or 16. Yeah, 16 off or something like that. And then you do that for 5 days and then you get 4 days off.
Holy cow, that's brutal. I didn't realize it was that.
It's constant. 26 on, 18 off, 26 on, 20, and for 5 days. So you're going 26 on, 18 off, 26 on, 18 off, 26 on, 4 days off. With those 4 days that you're off, you're actually working on your uniform to get it better and better and better. And then you go back.
What if there's an FTX or anything like that?
There's no such thing for them. That is their job.
Okay.
You show up every day, and that is your job. And
Your job is literally to be there in the right uniform at the right time.
right time, right, yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
but it's to the nth degree.
It is to this, like the 10th of a millimeter kind of thing.
Wow.
Like if you're late, you're late. It's like Ranger Regiment, they're like, yeah, you're 10 minutes late, all right, whatever, counseling. You're 10 minutes there. You're 10 minutes late to work. It's an Article 15. It's not a joke. It is the straightest kind of people I've ever met. Like the work ethic down there is top notch. Everything down to the smudge on your belt buckle that nobody sees counts. The little streak on your shoe that nobody sees, but they see it. It counts. Everything counts. And when if you step out onto that platform or onto the granite, and you're walking in front of people, you are held to the highest standard. You mess up once, they'll pull you off of that thing, and you'll never step foot on that place ever again.
Wow. What is it that was left in order to get the badge?
You have to go through testing. So the first test, you're allowed like a certain amount of gigs on your uniform. So like, your ribbon's like tenths of an inch off. There's 1 gig.
That is super subjective though, right?
Oh, it's not. It is, and there's like 2 or 3 people grading.
Like the blues in the eye of it's in the eye of the beholder, right? Like,
yeah. So, but there's like 2 or 3 people grading you. So it's not just one person.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, hey, that's off. Okay, hey, check this. Yeah, that's off. And it's like, there's 1 gig. Oh, your shoes right there. You have a little smudge on your shoes. That's off. Hey, lift up your shoe. Is the bottom of your shoe black from actually, like, you have to paint the back?
Get out.
I'm not joking. You got to paint the bottom of your shoe, and if there's a scuff on it, that's a gig.
You could have got that getting out of the car and just
Well,
getting
that you would have to take off your shoes and then walk. Guys would walk in like flip-flops, and then they put their shoes down on the carpet right before they get tested, and they slide their shoes in. And then somebody would tie his shoes for him and then wipe it off because he probably put a fingerprint or something on it. I'm telling you, it is down to the T. Like, if I get back up there and you guys want to come up, I'll try to get you down.
Is that where you're going?
I'm going back to the old guard, yeah.
No way. Yeah. So I'm right down in, I occasionally go up in my private sector company up in Virginia.
Okay. What part of Virginia?
Manassas. Just out.
Manassas?
Yeah.
I'm going to be living in Alexandria.
We're going to connect.
Mm-hmm.
We are definitely going to connect.
What are you going to be doing there?
So I just found out I'll be taking a platoon. My commander is one of my old Ranger buddies down at 6. He and I were Ranger instructors together, and he was like, yeah, you're coming to my company. I was like, is that by accident? He goes, no, it's not. So I was like, okay. So I'll be taking a platoon up there. I don't know what I'll be doing. But the battalion I went to, they usually do the burials inside of Arlington National Cemetery, which I didn't do previous. The last time I was there, I was at the other battalion, and I worked at the White House, the Pentagon, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'll be doing burials.
Who was the last president to pass?
Bush.
The horse-drawn carriage. That's the horse platoon.
Yeah.
Like they have the.
I planned Bush's funeral.
Wow.
Get out. Did you really?
Mm-hmm. Wow. I was at the time when Bush passed away. I was up at the regiment, their regiment, S3, and I planned Bush's funeral and I planned the inauguration. I was the NCOIC of the inauguration of the whole thing. So I went when they called in the National Guard. I was only in charge of like 1,200 people, and I went from 1,200 to like 5,000. When the riots happened, I was in charge of getting everybody. The reason why everybody was sleeping inside the Capitol was my fault. It was my fault.
It's now on camera and record.
It was my fault because the 82nd, we were like, hey, we're expecting 82nd here in 48 hours. And I was like, okay, so I got 48 hours to find everybody hotels, and it's COVID. So, I mean, like gyms and stuff like that. Well, they showed up in 12 hours, and I was like, I got nothing.
It's the 82nd. They literally live for it, man.
They showed up in 12 hours, and like I got generals going,
where are you going to put these dudes?
Where are my guys going? I'm like, hold on. I was calling like high schools. I was calling like base gyms and stuff, and eventually got them all certain areas, but it was rough.
Wow. Well, that's going to be a very cool assignment for you. I mean, getting to go back one.
Yeah.
Do it in a very different environment, different space.
Job.
Yeah, different job and everything else. And do you ever have the desire at some point to go start at the very beginning? I mean, we were talking about, Sergeant Major Brett Johnson and everything like.
So no. And it's not like because I hate it or anything like that. I hurt I recently, 2 years ago, I got hurt on a jump, and I herniated three discs in my lower back, and I haven't been able to run the wellest that I have. Like when I showed up to 6RTB, the whole point of me going to 6RTB was to kind of like get ready to do the next thing, whatever it was. Like if I felt like I was good enough to go back to Ranger Regiment, maybe. But I think once that injury happened, I landed 100 meters from my turn-in point. It took me 45 minutes to get there. That's how bad I was. And then I continued to walk.
Oh my God.
I would walk 30 hours with, a 30-pound pack on my back because I would drop weight because I knew my back was messed up. And then I would go home and wouldn't be able to move for 2 days, whatever it is. So I don't think going back to regiment would be a very good tool. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing now is get good guys into Ranger Regiment and provide the motivation to get them to go to Ranger Regiment.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Have you been a good veteran, even though you're not one yet fully and retired and all that, but in making sure this is all documented in records?
I have gone seen people. I have had MRIs. That's how I found out I had herniated disc, because I was like, oh, my back's kind of hurt. I think I just tweaked it. And the PA's like, actually, you have 3 herniated discs in your back. How the heck are you doing this? I was like, I don't know. Like, I'll walk, and when I walk for long periods of time, it feels like I'm walking on fire.
Yeah.
I love Ranger Regiment. It has a special place in my heart, and there's nothing but good things come out of that. And I think me going there would just diminish my career that I had there. And I think if I showed up there, it would just, they'd be like, what the heck? Why do you suck so bad? And I was like, because I suck. But and I look at guys like Sergeant Major Johnson. I'm like, how?
No, I have no idea.
How? How are you doing this?
Yeah.
And he's 25 years, and I'm like,
yeah.
How? And that would be the question I'd ask him. I'd be like, how? And I don't know if he would. He'd probably be like, I
Dude's a
don't know.
beast.
Yeah, he's crazy strong.
He's a beast.
I would love to just go to the gym with him one time, not do any cardio, and just lift really heavy, because that's all I can do now is just lift heavy, and I just want to see what he's got. I just
There's some photos of him in the SMA, Sergeant Major of the Army, working out and doing PT.
I saw that.
I wanted to know, like, what really, how bad was the SMA, really smoked after that, because I got to believe that Sergeant Major Johnson, like...
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard the stories all throughout my time in 175. It's like Sergeant Johnson just took us for a run and not fucking dying. I was like... Yeah,
you could just look at him and know the guy's just built for that.
Yeah, he's just strong jawed.
He does have the jaw.
Just a barrel chested American freedom fighter, man.
Iron Jaw Johnson, man. I just love him so much.
All right. I got to ask you. I don't know if you can lift up your left arm so that people can see the other side. The other side. Yeah. So tell us about that tattoo. I know every tattoo has a story, so if you don't want to tell it, that's okay. But
I always I've always been in comic books as a kid, and Batman was always my I never really related with the superheroes. I never know why, because I always thought if I was as strong as Superman, I wouldn't protect anybody. I'd rob a bank and live the best life I could. And so I always took the deep dive into I was more interested into the why. I was like, why is the Joker the Joker? Why is Bane Bane? Why is, Scarecrow who he is? Why is the Croc who he is? Like, what's going on? And I always found that interesting. So as the movies would go on and the way that the movies went, I was like, this is great. So one day I was like, I want to get tattoos. And I was like, I don't know what I like, what I want to do. And I was just like, I'll get the Joker, Bane. I get all these guys on my arm because I relate more to the villains than I find the villains more interesting. Like, I'm more interested in what villain they're going to have in a movie than, it's Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care about Spider-Man. Who's the villain? So I got tattoos like that, and I was like, nah, that's more my style. Just because I feel like there's always that part of you that is the dark side, and you only let the dark side out with certain people. And I definitely have a dark side. I don't know.
Yeah.
My wife informed me yesterday or the other day. I was like, when we're walking side by side, she's like, yeah, when we're walking side by side, they look at you and think you're the mean one, but I'm actually the mean one. She's like, you're more like a teddy bear. I was like, I get mad sometimes. She goes, not really. And I was like, okay. So, and I found a really good artist that does phenomenal.
That's pretty phenomenal work. Down in Florida, or
no, Savannah, Georgia.
Is that right?
Savannah, Georgia.
Take it back to its roots.
Yeah, can't go wrong. I've had these since 2012 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
All right. So, are you thinking you're just going to do 20, or are you thinking you're?
I got 4 years. I just re-enlisted for INDEF.
Okay.
I got 4 more years, and that's it. I'm going to call it a career. I don't think I want to move anymore after I just bought this last house. It cost me an arm and a leg. Whatever else, my future child.
Right.
So I'll just, I'm going to call it a career, and maybe take Black Flag Nation more around, since I'll have more time to do it. Just depends on what I want to do. I might just start another job somewhere and make more money and move on. Thinking about having more kids, which is crazy. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and we're talking about having kids again. So
yeah.
Just great things. My wife makes more money than me, so it's kind of nice. That's the reason why we moved to DC, is because, one, we wanted to be there, but she got a job up there making more money than I could ever imagine. So it's just like, all right, yeah,
good for her. Yeah, good for both of them.
Yeah. She's ex-Secret Service.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, you want to talk?
She probably is about badass.
Yeah.
She is. She's also Palestinian, so she's very rough. She's 5'2", and she kicked my ass.
Well, we're going to continue following you, obviously, in Black Flag Nation, and wishing you nothing but the best there. Again, I love what you're doing and how you're trying to give back. It's what we're really all about. But what if somebody follows the page? There's more to it than that. Mm-hmm. What if they do want to get in contact with you, and how does it all work?
Just message me. Message me on Black Flag Nation. If you message me on Black Flag Nation, I am on it all the time, trying to find new ways of doing different things, and finding motivational things that I want to put out there, and finding other pages like yourself to promote. That's another thing too, is I like to promote. But just message me on there. Be like, hey, this is what I want. Or just say, what's up, dude? And I'd be like, what's up, man? What's up? You know, I'm here to BS. I'm here to help you with your goals. I'm here to answer questions. Another thing too is like I'm a big advocate for mental health. I've been seeing, you know, therapists throughout my military career because you can't do it alone. And I've got a lot of demons that I've fought with, dealing with PTSD and everything. And I've come out on the other side better, and I never stopped. I continuously talk to new people to help myself, basically. So, yeah, we talked about that before. That it's a process that you can't just stop. You know, it's not a one and done.
No,
it's the mind is weird.
Yeah,
how it works and how you process trauma. So, yeah.
Well, we'll look to have you back and maybe touch on that a little bit more. And then, of course, what you're doing in the next life year after this PCS and everything.
all I'm hearing is mentors for military road trip to the old guard.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm for it. It's kind of cool. It's a cool little area. You get to see how everybody preps and how everybody does theirs and how like the process is. And I think you guys would be very surprised on the detail that goes into it. And it's a fun job. I was on cloud 9 the first time I did the change of the guard. I had 2,300 people watching me do it. So I'm out in front trying to go, hey, you guys, basically try not to mess up. And it's phenomenal. Yeah. Every step on that granite represents something. Like the 21 steps, the 21 second facing movements, the 21 movements, like everything is all counted. Like when you watch them do it, it's all counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so on and so forth. And it's a counting motion the whole time, and it's all based off rhythm. A rhythm that is instilled in the click of your shoes. Like, so when you're walking, the click of your shoes is that rhythm, and that person goes off that rhythm the whole time. Both walkers, and they go off that rhythm. It's choreographed to the best that you could ever. Like, those guys practice thousands of hours to get their craft right, and that's what they do. And they live and breathe it, and it's great to watch it.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether you watched it today or 20 years ago.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same, and it's great.
Yeah. Man, Lou, it's a pleasure meeting
Absolutely.
you first
I'm
off.
glad that you guys invited me. It was like last minute too. I was like, I hope
and I had no idea it was perfect timing in terms of where you're going next and stuff too. But not only that, but then it gives us the opportunity to come up and see you when we get up there and get situated and stuff.
Yeah.
But thanks again for coming on the show, man.
Absolutely. Thanks. I'm glad that you guys invited me. I appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing. This is great.
Likewise. Appreciate it.